If you're not hitting the draw with your driver, you are losing a ton of distance. And the truth of the matter is, as a golf instructor, I can tell you it's not that difficult if you have the right information. Today I'm going to share with you the keys to that and help you unlock the nice high draw with your driver. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And anytime you're hitting a driver, if you can get that ball to turn over, you're going to add some distance. And today I'm going to share with you 3 things to do and also a nice little tip, a drill at the end on how to do that. And if you haven't already, hey, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Join the family here at US Golf TV. We are producing some great content. We are helping golfers all over the world. I love hearing from you, and you're giving us some great ideas, so be sure to join our community and be sure to ring the bell as well. Now, let's dive right into this because I want to get into this. This is one of my favorite things to teach when it comes to golf. So, first of all, why is it more difficult to draw a driver than, let's say, a 3-wood, a hybrid, or a 7-iron? I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to get into the tips. First of all, when you're hitting a driver, to maximize the distance, we know from technology and research that you got to hit slightly up on the golf ball. Now, when you start to hit up on the golf ball, the club starts to travel what we call in and up. Now, this video is not about the science behind the draw. We've done a ton of that. Matter of fact, we did an entire book on it called The Science of the Slice. If you're interested in that, well, I'll leave it down there in the comments and down in the description so you can get into that. But here's what you got to understand. It's basically when you start hitting up on the ball with your driver, which is what you want, drawing it makes it more difficult. So you've got to build some things in to help us do exactly that. So let's dive in. The first thing is the setup. Now, when you're set up, what you've got to do is when you're in there, okay, now I've got my live view set up. One of the things I love teaching is with my live view because it gives my students instant feedback, and I've got it set up right here down the line. Now, the first thing you're going to do in your setup is you're going to take your stance and you're going to slightly close it a little bit. Now, by taking your stance and aiming it slightly to the right, for a right-handed golfer, that's going to help you swing a little bit more to the right, which is what we need in order to hit the draw. So tip number 1 is change your aim a little bit to the right. Tip number 2, this is a real gem right here. It's a real secret, is you're going to take your lead arm. Notice I got the live view. You can see it right here on the screen. And we're going to talk about these other 2 lines on there in just a second. Okay? But you're going to take your lead arm and you're going to raise it just slightly compared to my trail arm. So notice as I'm set in there, see it right down there, live view. Here's standard, right? Standard setup. I want to hit the high draw, raise the lead arm just a little bit, tuck the arm underneath. So I take that handle and just raise it up slightly, all right? And that's going to help me swing a little bit more up and also to the right. Tip number 3, suggestion number 3 on the setup, okay, is you're going to take your upper body. You're going to see this from face on. Upper body, you're going to tilt it a little bit, okay? And we're going to review this in a second, so don't worry if you feel a little bit lost here, but these are the real secrets to hitting the high draw. You're going to take your upper body here and just tilt it back a little bit. Notice how my zippers went back, okay? A little tilt that way. So let's go through those 3 things. Number 1, slight aim to the right for a right-handed golfer. Tip number 2, in the setup, raise the handle slightly. Tip number 3, tilt the upper body back a little bit. Those 3 things will help you start swinging the club a little bit more from the inside. All right, now, let's talk about the takeaway, and then we're going to talk about a tip for the finish. All right, and then we're going to get into one particular drill here at the end that I've got for you that works every single time. All right, so the takeaway, here's what you got. Notice I got the live view right there. I got these 2 lines, one along the shaft, one that starts at the bottom of the shaft and goes up through my shoulder. This is kind of this corridor of success. This is where I want that club swinging. So, on the takeaway, I want you to feel like your hands work in a little bit and the club head, see the club head right there? Stays on the red line, okay? Boom. Now what's important here is notice the angle of that club face. That club face is dead square, okay? Watch this here. This would be open, see that? Notice how the toe's looking up. This would be closed, I'm not suggesting that. But that's the tip on the takeaway. When you take it away, you got to arc your hands in. See my hands work under the red line? But the club head stays on the red line and the face stays square. All right? So if you do that, now you've got the club face in a good position. You've also got the club head. This is a key. A lot of people don't know this. You've got the club head slightly outside your hands. See where my hands are and see where the club head is? And we're going to lead into this on the downswing. So just notice the difference here. Notice where my hands are at, where the club head is at, because that's going to be huge when we talk about that downswing. All right, so that's on the setup. That's on the takeaway. So let's talk a little bit about the finish. And then I'm going to backtrack and talk a little bit about that transition. What's going to happen, the transition just happens like that. Can't worry about the transition. Get the setup right. Get your takeaway right, and focus on this finish tip I'm going to give you right now, and the transition will take care of itself. We'll get into that in just a second. All right, here we go. We got that set up. Slight aim right. Okay, little raise of the handle, tilt. All right, we got that beautiful takeaway right there. Hands are in, club head's out there. Now, when you finish, watch this on the live view. When you finish your swing, I want your trail shoulder, my right shoulder right here, trail shoulder. When you finish, your trail shoulder is going to be lower than your lead shoulder. See that right there? That's why I put those lines there on the live view. Notice how my shoulders are like this right here, folks. That's a high draw. This, that's a pull cut. That's your fade, that's your slice right there. See the difference? High draw, pull cut, or slice. All right, so let's go through it again because I want you to, I'm going to do it in slow motion here. Okay, here's my takeaway. This is why I love live view, because I can see exactly what I'm doing. I mean, there's no better tool than this right here. Boom, there it is. I take it up to the top. Okay, we'll talk about the transition in a second. I come through, notice the trail shoulder. Okay, stays low. Lead shoulder stays high. Right there, see that? Now what I would do, what I suggest is I just like to do 3 setters. So I'd have my student do a little 3-setter, do 1. Feel the finish, okay, there it is. I do it again, feel 2, there it is, yeah. 1 more, feel 3. I can feel that side bend right there. Then I just get set in there, and I'd hit a shot, and kind of try to replicate that feel. That felt pretty good right there. So hopefully that makes sense on that finishing, trail shoulder, a little bit low. Now, let's talk about what happens. We're doing a deep dive on this. Hopefully this is making sense. If you got questions, put them in the comments. I answer every single one of them, or maybe if you don't agree with what I have to say, it's okay too. I like hearing from you just as well. And be sure to subscribe because we got more great content coming out all the time. Now, let's talk about what happens in the transition. Okay? Remember how we talked about this right here? This hands in, the club head out? This is the secret that nobody really talks about. Right there, okay? Now, because of this relationship, and this, I'm not going to dive deep into the science. I've already talked about science of the slice. Check that out. It's in the description. But there's weight here. There's weight here. This is well beyond this video right here. But when I get this weight in and that weight out, okay, basically, when I transition, they're going to naturally want to what I call rebalance. Okay, and when they rebalance, see where that club comes? Look at that. That's from the inside. Boom, I'm hitting up on it. Notice the shoulder. So that's why that takeaway is so important. When the hands arc in, weight out, they're going to want to rebalance in the transition. Okay, what do most amateur golfers do who slice it? They do the opposite. They go club head weight in, hand weight out. So it's club head in, hands out, and then it's reverses. Boom. All right, so that's why that takeaway is so important. All right, now last thing here, this is a lot of information. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. Got to hit that nice high draw, turn it over, get some distance. So I promise you a little tip here. This, if everything else fails, nothing else is working, here's where you're going to go. I call it the TV drill. Long, fun story behind that. Someday I'll tell that to you. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll answer that. But it's a fun story. But at any rate, here's the TV drill. When you finish, we've got the butt end of the club. That's right here. Okay? When you finish the swing, just make sure that the butt end of the club is pointed out there to the right of the target. Okay? So here's my target line. You can see it right there in live view. It's going to be pointed way out there. So it's here. Boom. See how it's pointed out there? And if you do that little tip, make a little 3-setter. You know me, I like my 3-setters. There's 1. There's 2. Notice where it's pointed. There's 3. Okay? When I do that, if you do that with a golf ball, you're going to see a nice high natural draw. So this is a deep dive into it. Here's what you got to know. If you want to hit the nice high draw, you've got to get your setup correct. You've got to get your takeaway, you got to get that right shoulder down. If all else fails, go to the TV drill, and if you do those couple things, you're definitely going to start hitting some nice high draws with your driver.